everybody? This is your host, Murphy McCammon, coming back at you again with another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast. If you need help getting started on your fitness journey, if you need help losing that next 10 pounds, you need help knowing what to do in the gym, getting a little tips or advice, or if you already have been doing those things and you just want to further your knowledge through fitness, then this is the podcast for you, where we talk about all things fitness. So today we're going to get in here, we're going to drop some value. But first, I'm going to update y'all on my life. We're just getting back from Pensacola Beach, where we went and saw the Blue Angels fly. It was pretty awesome, not going to lie. If you've never seen the Blue Angels, I 100% recommend that you go and check them out somewhere. You should see them at least one time in your life. If you're around Pensacola area, they go there every year, so go check them out. If you don't know what the Blue Angels are, just give them a quick little Google search. They're Navy fighter jets that put on an air show for you, so they're pretty neat. It's pretty cool to see them fly and the different things that they can do. And you're also kind of supporting the military too, so that's always good. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition. Nutrition in my fitness journey has been 100% my weakest point. It's what I struggle with. It's what most people struggle with. It can be very intimidating when it comes to trying to get your nutrition on point. Most people think that they have to cut out everything out of their diet in order to eat healthy. That's not necessarily the case. There are some things you're going to want to cut out, or maybe not necessarily cut out completely, but you're going to want to dial them back a little bit. You're going to want to eat those foods in moderation. And with the way society is nowadays, we have so many processed foods and unhealthy foods basically thrown in our faces all the time. They're very easy to eat, very accessible. They're just in a wrapper. You open them up and they're ready to go. I know it's very convenient to eat unhealthy nowadays, and that's just the way our society has grown over time. No, I'm not saying it's a problem or that I don't believe it should be that way. I definitely agree that you need to splurge a little bit, have something sweet every now and then, enjoy your food that you're eating. All those things are good to have. You get to kind of relax and eat something that actually tastes good. But a little pro tip, you can eat plenty of healthy food that actually tastes good. You just got to find out what you like, find healthy recipes around that food that you like, and go from there. So today I just want to talk a little bit about the basics of nutrition. We're not going to dive super in depth into everything about nutrition. We're just going to give you a basic overview, talk about a few healthy eating habits, kind of what a few nutrition terms are, some different diets and things like that. So let's hop right into it. Let's do it. First off, let's start off why eating healthy is important, why it even matters in the first place. Food is fuel for your body. The calories that you put in your body are what's going to drive your body. It's going to give the nutrients to your body that it needs to be able to function. I like to think of it as putting gas in your car. You have to put gas in your car in order for your gas to go, or it's not going to work. Unless you just have an electric vehicle. I know that's a thing nowadays, but for gas vehicles, for this purpose. If your diet is deficient in calories or one or more nutrients, your health may or may not suffer. It more than likely will suffer over time. If you do not put gas in your car over time, you're going to run out of gas and you're going to stop. You're not going to be able to take that car no further. You can also put too much gas in your car. You can eat too many calories. When you do this, you will experience weight gain. Plain and simple. Also, the quality of your diet can affect your health in a way. It can increase disease. It can decrease the longevity of life. And it can also decrease your mental health. So we want to be able to dial these things in order to become more healthy, in order to make your life longer, in order to reduce disease risk, in order to improve mental health. There are several reasons why you should incorporate healthier eating into your life. Besides these three, we're not going to go down that road. There's too many to talk about. Healthy eating is important because it not only fuels your body, it supplies your body with nutrients, it lowers your disease risk, it increases your quality of life, and it promotes mental and physical well-being. This is why healthy eating matters. You may ask, how does nutrition work? What does it do to your body, or why do we need to focus on healthy eating? Your body turns food into glucose, and your body uses glucose for energy. So if you have excess glucose, your body is going to store that as glycogen because it does not need it for energy at that moment. So if your body does not use that glycogen, then your body will turn that into fat. Your body breaks down this food into glucose, which it then uses for a quick energy that it needs right then. However, if your body only needs so much glucose at once, all the extra that it has, your body's going to store it as glycogen. It's going to store it in your muscles. It's going to store it in your liver, because your body wants to save this for a later time. It wants to use it later because your body is a survival machine. If that glycogen over time does not get depleted, it's going to turn into fat cells. And this is what we want to avoid. For a quick recap, your body turns food into glucose. Your body uses that glucose for energy. Then it turns the excess glucose into glycogen stores, and then eventually that gets stored as fat cells. So it's a pattern. And when you eat excess food, you're creating this excess amount of fat cells, which is why people gain weight. So next, we're going to hop into the basics of healthy eating. When it comes to your diet, we have 3 main macronutrients. These 3 main macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are the building blocks of your diet. These are the 3 main macronutrients, macro meaning large, big scale. They're what is essential for your diet, and you need all 3 of these macronutrients. Some people may argue and say, no, you don't necessarily need carbs, but for the most part, you're going to eat carbs. Not very many people do a keto diet their whole entire life. Is it possible? Yes. Is it realistic? No. So what we want to do is we want to understand the ratio of what macronutrients you need to intake in your body in order to optimize your nutrients, your nutrition, your health, your diet, your everyday routine. It's important to keep these balanced and get the right amount of nutrients that you need every day so that your body can perform at the level that it needs to perform. All right, so we're gonna dive into a little bit more about each one of these macronutrients. First, we're gonna start off with carbohydrates. There are 3 types of carbohydrates. You have simple or refined carbs, you have complex starchy carbs, and you have complex fibrous carbs. So simple carbs have simple structure and they get turned into energy. And they get turned into energy fairly quickly. Simple carbs have simple molecular structure and they get turned into energy very easily and very quickly. They are your body's first line of energy. They include sucrose, which is regular table sugar. They include fructose, which is sugars found in fruits, and also lactose, which is sugars found in milk. Next, you have complex starchy carbs. These have a more complex molecular structure, and they're what people think of when they refer to carbs. So rice, wheat, potatoes. These are foods that it takes your body longer to break these down into glucose. Next, you have complex fibrous carbs. So these are the best type of carbs. Since your body is unable to absorb fiber, these foods will pass through your digestive system and they play a critical role in keeping your digestive system healthy. So the most common source of a complex carb is vegetables. Vegetables are carbs. Yes, vegetables are in fact carbs. The second macronutrient we're going to talk about, and the most important macronutrient that you're going to need in order to help you build muscle and maintain losing weight, it's going to be proteins. So proteins are complex molecules. They're made up of strings of amino acids, and they're going to play a vital role in your body's metabolism. So there are 20 amino acids, which are in those amino acids, there are 9 that are considered essential, meaning the body is unable to produce them naturally. Your body does not produce these amino acids, so you have to intake these amino acids through your diet. So these are considered essential because you have to eat these. So this is why we rely on foods to fill this absence. From a nutrition perspective, protein helps you sustain your energy, and it also helps you build and maintain muscle. Helps you repair those muscle tissues, helps you regulate your hormones. It's going to help in immunity with your immune system. Protein's all around importance. Probably in most people's opinion, it's the most important macronutrient there is. It's the one that you really need to focus on, especially when it comes to building muscle. But you also need to focus on it a lot when you're trying to lose weight as well. And the last macronutrient is fats. First of all, people get weird when they talk about fats. They think, oh, fats are going to make me fat. It's literally called fats. No, that's not the case. Your body needs fats. You're going to eat fats in a lot of the foods that you eat. Yes, fats are more calorie dense per serving or per ounce, however you want to say it. But that does not mean you need to cut them out of your diet. Fats are going to play a big role when it comes to making you feel satiated, which means making you feel like you're full, like you don't want food anymore. Fats are going to help improve your brain function, and it's playing a key role in vitamin absorption. So they help you absorb vitamins into your body. Different types of fat. You have unsaturated fats. These are the good ones, typically found in foods like avocados, fish, nuts, olive oil, seeds. These unsaturated fats can improve cholesterol levels, and they aid in inflammation. With unsaturated fats, you also have saturated fats. So these are typically found in animal foods, so cheese, meat, milk, or you also find them in oils such as coconut oils, palm oil. There are several debates around the nutrition world about saturated and unsaturated fats, but I think it's safe to say that for most saturated fats, you want to limit these as much as you can. You want to replace saturated fats with unsaturated fats as much as you can. And next you have trans fats. So these are bad. So these are found in fried foods, baked goods, and processed snacks. Trans fat have been shown to raise the bad type of cholesterol, which is LDL for people who know a lot about cholesterol. And trans fat will also lower the amount of the good type of cholesterol that you receive, which is considered HDL. Trans fats have also been linked to heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and they can contribute to insulin resistance. So we want to cut all trans fats out. And then we want to also try to replace saturated fats with unsaturated fats if we can. So those are kind of the basics around macros. So to repeat again, macros, there's 3 types: carbohydrates, proteins, fats. And then in those 3 fields, there are obviously many more ways you can break those down into different categories. But those are the 3 macronutrients that we're going to focus on in your nutrition, in your diet. These are things that we want to take into account. As we all know, there are many types of diets out there. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I do not like the term diet, because when you use the term diet, you're basically putting a time limit on something. You're saying that this diet lasts for this amount of weeks or this amount of months or this many days. When it comes to nutrition, when it comes to your fitness journey, you're not going to be on a diet forever, because diets have time frames. You always hear of these different kinds of diets saying do this for 90 days, do this for 30 days. With that being said, I do not think diets are a bad thing. They can be a good way to get you jump started on your nutrition goals. They're a good way to get you thinking about what you're eating, to get you to start eating healthier foods. But as we all have seen, and you've probably experienced yourself, diets are not sustainable. You cannot do a diet forever. So what we need to do is get away from these so-called diets, and we need to implement strategies through our nutrition that will help us eat healthier over time. We need to get away from the diet trend. Yes, diets work. I will tell you straightforward, diets do work, but they only work while you're doing them. As soon as you quit doing that diet no longer works. It does not help you anymore whatsoever. And most diets, you're not going to stick to for very long. Yeah, you may do those first 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, whatever it is, you may stick to that. And congrats if you can, because it's very hard to stick to some of these diets out there. They are very restrictive. Yeah, they may work, and they're going to work because you're going to drop the amount of calories that you're eating. You're going to be introducing more nutritious foods, which is great. And if you need a diet to get you jump started on your nutrition goals, then that's great. Go for it. I agree. You should do it. But I myself personally, I do not believe in or partake in any diets. I have set nutrition boundaries for myself that allows me to eat healthy over time. No, I don't eat healthy every day. I'll be the first to tell you that. I love sweets. I have a very, very bad sweet tooth. If you know me personally, you know that I love ice cream. Hands down, ice cream, best food on this earth. And you can't change my mind about it. You just won't. But I know that eating ice cream, I have to set boundaries around it. I have to set limits. I don't eat it every day. When I was a kid, I ate it every day. Most of you have heard of all the different kinds of diets you have out there. You have low-fat diets, low-carb diets, which is basically keto. Anything. Fasting is a good one. I actually kind of like fasting a little bit. I did it for a while. I'm not doing it right now because I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting enough protein in my diet. And when I fast, I just can't do that. But it may be good for some of you to partake in dieting because it will lower your calories over time, and it will allow you to eat more of the foods that you want to eat during that time frame that you're allowed to eat in. I'm not going to get too much into different kind of diets just because I don't necessarily believe in them, and I'm not going to tell you to do any diet. I'd rather you just create some healthy eating habits and go off of those instead of creating a diet, because like I said, diets are temporary. They have a time frame and they're very restrictive, and you're more than likely not going to stick to it over time. One way that I have been able to stay consistent with my nutrition over time is, well, one, fasting, like I talked about earlier, but I'm not doing that as of now. But two, the time that you eat during the day, like morning, afternoon, bedtime. Also, different portion types. You want to get your portions down pat. That's the key to eating in moderation and not overeating or doing too much or going too heavy on one type of macro and not on the other. So we want to dial those in. Use portion sizes, portion control, and this is going to help you to maintain the amount of calories that you're taking in, and not so you're not taking in too many at one time. And you're also taking the right amount of calories in instead of more in one area than in the other. I'm not necessarily dead set on one type of strategy. I think all strategies are good for different people. You just have to find what works for you and stick to that. So some people like to fast. Some people enjoy that. It works for their schedule. It works for them, and that's what they use. If that's you, you should do fasting. Some people like to eat certain meals at certain times of the day. If you got to eat at, say, 7 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, if that's you and you want to eat at those times, pick those times that work for you and stick to it. That way you're consistent, and your body knows when it's going to receive those nutrients, and your body will get in a routine. Just like you get in a routine every day of waking up, going to work, or going to bed at night, you normally do those around the same time. Your body's the same way. You will create habits, and your body will get used to that, and it will help you maintain that weight over time. And then also, some people say that you should eat more meals throughout the day or less meals throughout the day. Some people say that it's better to eat, say, 5 or 6 smaller meals throughout the day than to eat 3 larger meals during the day. If that's you, if that works for you, then do that. But I know for normal everyday people, that normally don't work. Normal people can't eat 6 meals in a day. One, they're not that hungry. Most people don't want to eat that much food in a day. But if you're trying to build muscle, if you're a bodybuilder, gaining weight, then yeah, you may have to incorporate some of these strategies. It all depends on what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve. You have to figure that out on your own and stick to it and set a schedule, set up some good practices, some strategies around those eating habits or whatever works for you, and just be consistent over time. We want to be able to create a healthy relationship with food. This is something that I struggle with myself. For so long, I have ate whatever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to. I was blessed with a high metabolism, so I don't really gain as much weight when I eat a lot of food or if I eat junk food or whatever. So I kind of created a bad relationship with food because I've always said, hey, I can just eat whatever I want to and my body will burn it off. I mean, yeah, I'm a pretty active guy and I do work out 5 times a week. So that helps me and that puts me in a good place to burning off those extra calories. But recently I've been putting a little bit more focus on my nutrition and being more and creating healthier habits so that when I am older and my metabolism isn't as high and I'm not able to be as active as I am now, I want to be able to have a healthy relationship with that food and to create these sustainable habits so that I'll be able to enjoy nutrition throughout my entire life. I mentioned earlier I have a very bad sweet tooth. I love sweets. That's my thing. I like to splurge on sweets, but I had to limit myself during the week. I've been eating very clean, staying true to my nutrition goals, and then on the weekend I kind of splurge a little bit. So, but I do it in moderation. I don't go crazy. I know my limits. I set my boundaries for myself and have to stick to it. And if I go over, then I may do some extra cardio the next day or something to get me back on track. Next, I'm going to hop into some healthy eating habits or tips or tricks that will help you improve your nutritional intake. Number 1, you need to be easy on yourself. Most people, when they start their fitness journey, they want to jump right in and get to it and cut everything out of their diet that's unhealthy and go straight for it, which I understand. I respect it. Trust me. I tried to do the same thing, but I couldn't do it. You need to take baby steps. This is especially important for beginners, creating that foundation for your relationship with your nutrition, with eating food. I think the media and the diet industry today has made losing weight harder. It's made people believe that they have to push and restrict and deprive ourselves of all these different types of food just to get to our goals, just to get to that finish line. But we all know those don't work. When you're constantly pushing and criticizing yourself, you're going to create a negative mindset about it. And it's very difficult to stay consistent with that over time. So we need to get in a better headspace. We need to commit to making these baby steps, to creating these small habits that over time will become larger ones. We need to remind ourselves that we need to take one step at a time, and it's not going to be easy. You need to stay curious, and you need to make these changes that you know is going to help you in the future, and you need to start incorporating them into your life, create a lifestyle around them, while also making sure these goals are realistic, make sure they're sustainable. Number 2, we want to focus on eating real foods, real whole foods, aka clean eating. So the single most important shift that you can make in your diet, in your nutrition, is by focus on eating whole foods. Whole foods are foods that are close to their natural state as possible. They're single ingredient foods and they come from the earth and or animals. if you eat animal products. I know there's a lot of vegans out there nowadays, so this is not referring to you when it comes to meat. When it comes to whole foods, you want to think vegetables, fruits, healthy natural fats like avocados, nuts, seeds. You want to get quality proteins like fish, pastured meats, lentils, good quality whole grains, wild rice, oatmeal, quinoa. These are all foods that you want to focus on when making these nutritional shifts. It is very, very important. And it's arguably the single most important thing that you can do when it comes to eating healthy. Number 3, you're going to want to avoid highly processed foods. Highly processed foods are foods that are basically made in a factory. They are created for your taste buds and not necessarily created to nourish your body. They are not created to put the nutrients that your body needs into your body. It is created just so it can satisfy that sweet tooth, just so it can satisfy your taste buds. Yeah, they're great. They're good. But they're not helping you. They're not nutritious. They're not going to be what you need to eat to maintain healthy eating over time. They're going to make you gain weight if you indulge in them, if you eat too many of them. So by cutting these foods out, it's going to help you become healthier. As you cut these processed foods out and you swap those out with whole foods, that's going to be the best thing you can do to create these healthy eating habits. There's different types of processed foods. You have lightly processed foods, which is bread or frozen veggies, which are not necessarily terrible for you. You don't necessarily need to cut all these out. They're not foods that I would worry about too much. The processed foods that you want to cut out, though, are highly processed foods. These are foods that will fill the shelves in the grocery store, like in the middle aisles. These foods are very, very calorie dense, but they're not nutrient dense. They're high in calories, but they don't provide anything for your body. All they do is provide that little bit of satisfaction that you get that will curb your sweet tooth. We want to eat these whole foods, which have a lot of nutrients in them that provides your body with the fuel that it needs. Most highly processed foods, a way that you can determine if it is processed or not is if it has a long shelf life. If the expiration date is multiple years long, then it's probably a food that you don't want to eat or a food that you should try to cut out of your diet. If they come in a wrapper, it's also a good kind of way that you can look to see if a food's processed. So many things like candy, Pop-Tarts, whatever it is, all these things come in like wrappers that you have to open up because they last for a long time, so they put them in wrappers. Most of the time, these processed foods have a lot of bad ingredients that you've probably never even heard of. A good rule of thumb that you can go by is look on the back of it, look on the ingredients, and if it's a lot of terms and things that you've never even heard of, it's in your best interest just to put that product back on the shelf because it's probably not good for you. It's probably very processed. If you look on the back of some of these things nowadays, you'll see words that are 15 characters long that you've never even heard of that makes no sense to you. If that's the case, you probably should put it back on the shelf. That's not always the case, but that's a good rule of thumb to go by. The problem with this is that it creates the false belief that you're unable to trust your body, and it automatically disconnects us from our natural hunger signals. So the simple practice here is to drop out of your mind and leave the food rules and mental agendas on the table and drop back into your body. Number 4, you want to connect to your hunger. Oftentimes when we're trying to eat better, we want to look at external information like things on the internet, things on the news, to kind of tell us what and when to eat. So that again goes back to the different kinds of diets, the different times of the day that you should eat, all these different things you're being told from different people. Yeah, some of these things work, but everybody's different. Everybody's gonna have different nutritional needs. People are gonna have different schedules that may affect their nutritional intake. So we just want to create and maintain healthy eating habits over time. A good thing that you can do to connect to your hunger is to actually ask yourself, am I hungry? And then halfway through that meal, ask yourself again, am I still hungry? Do I need to eat more? Pause and take a second, because sometimes if you're just shoving food down your throat, you're not even going to realize that your body's full and you don't need any more. These are little things that are going to help you intake less calories over time. Also, a quick little tip that I help you not be as hungry before you eat is about 20-30 minutes before you eat, drink a glass of water. Drink a full glass of water. Because one, sometimes you're not actually hungry when your body feels hungry. You just may be thirsty. And that the water will fulfill that hunger that you feel. And also, if you are actually hungry, that water is taking up space in your stomach. It's going to make your stomach expand, making you kind of tricking your body into thinking it's more full than what it actually is. Because your body has like receptors in your stomach that when it expands, it kind of tells your body, hey, I'm not as hungry as I was before. I don't know the exact science behind that, but it's something to that effect. It'll take some practice at first, but once you implement these new rules and habits into your everyday routine, you'll get better. The road's going to feel a little bumpy at first, trying to connect with your hunger and knowing when it's actually hungry, when it's not, but over time, it'll get better. Healthy tip number 5, you want to experiment with your different macronutrients and different balances. So yeah, there's different percentages of each meal that you need for each macro, but that may be different from person to person. So you kind of have to experiment a little bit on your own to see what works best for you. I'm not necessarily saying you need to count out every single macronutrient for every single meal. I know that's not very realistic for most people, but I think it's important to consider the balance of carbs, proteins, and fats that you're taking in each meal, and just kind of have an overview of what you're eating throughout the day. So over time, you can kind of manipulate those different macronutrients and incorporate more into this meal or less of this into that meal. And over time, it'll help you understand your body more so that you can perform at a higher level. It will also help you out with knowing what you need to eat next. Say you ate a lot of protein in this one meal, but you didn't eat any fats. In the next meal, you need to incorporate a few more fats to that meal just so you can hit that daily goal or that weekly goal for each macronutrient that you're trying to hit. Playing around with your macronutrients is a good thing to do because, say for example, after a meal, if you don't feel that you're satisfied, if you're still hungry, you may not have had enough of in one area or the other. So by playing around with these, experiment with different ones, you can figure out what helps you the best, what makes you feel the most full, what satisfies that hunger. We don't want to be hungry right after we ate a meal 30 minutes ago, because then you're just going to eat more. So you have to find what works for you and that great balance and then stick to that. I suggest starting your day with a meal that's rich in protein and fats. So I like to eat eggs in the morning for breakfast. I eat eggs every morning. That's just my go-to. It's easy for me to make, and I like eggs. So basically, the name of the game is just to play around, experiment, and observe what your body's doing, how it's reacting, how hungry you feel, how full you feel. And over time, you will be able to perfect this and help your body perform at its highest level. Tip number 6, quality over calories. We want to eat quality calories. We don't want to eat junk calories. Some people argue that a calorie is a calorie. Yeah, that's true. And if you burn more calories than you consume, then yes, you will lose weight. That's true. But you don't want to live by this. We want to incorporate healthy calories into our body because they're going to offer a lot more nutrients and it's going to help you be more efficient. And it's going to help your body be more efficient in everything that it does. You want to consume the calories that your body needs, but you don't want to consume more than what your body needs. For example, you could eat a low-fat blueberry muffin bought from the store that's going to be 400 calories, and yeah, it's going to taste good, but it's not going to do much for your body. For example, you should replace that 400 calorie blueberry muffin with a plate of salmon, vegetables, and brown rice. That plate of salmon, vegetables, and brown rice is going to offer your body a lot more nutrients. It's going to be way more beneficial because the salmon, vegetable, and rice is made up of quality proteins, healthy fats, quality carbohydrates. This is the type of meal that's going to take some time for your body to process, for your body to break down. It's going to slowly elevate your blood sugar levels, which also means that you will slowly come down from those levels at a slower rate. So you won't be as hungry again. So the result is that you feel more satiated and you're more satisfied from the meal. So this is the kind of meal that you're looking for. It's going to keep your hormones balanced. It's going to keep you happy, which means you get to feel good. And feeling good is what we're going for here. So that's the name of the game. Both meals will have 400 calories, but what you want to notice is how those calories react in your body, how those reactions drive other behaviors in your body and throughout your day. So it's going to affect what you eat next. It's going to affect what you're craving, and depending on which route you take, it's going to be a very different end story. So one meal is going to keep you feeling satisfied and energized, and the other one may have you feeling hungry in a very short amount of time. You're going to be craving something else very soon. Number 7, you want to move in the direction of a plant-based diet. We should all strive to have a more plant-based diet. You want to make the base of your diet is rooted in plant-based food as much as possible. So like vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, grains. But with that being said, that does not necessarily mean you need to be a vegan. You can still eat. I still eat meat myself. But as you move towards a more plant-based diet, you're moving towards a more healthy, nutritious, balanced diet. If you want to take the vegan route, then you can. You can move towards that plant-based diet and cut out all meats that you want to. There's very many different approaches you can take to a plant-based diet, and different approaches will be more beneficial to others. But if you was to look back at some other diets, say like the paleo or vegan diet, they all kind of lean towards this plant-based idea. You have to think of it this way. Food is energy. So the more energy that's in the food that you eat, the more energy that you'll get out of the food that you're eating. You'll retrieve that energy. So plant-based foods have those energy from the earth, basically, and it's just you're digesting it and you get the benefit or reward from that. Number 8, cook as often as you can. Cooking is one of the easiest ways to start eating better. One, because you know exactly what you're eating. You know exactly what you're cooking. You know what's going into each meal, each recipe. You know the ingredients, and you can decide to put healthier ingredients in those, and you know what you're eating. If you buy stuff from the store or processed food or fast food, you don't necessarily know what's going into that. You don't know what's being put into the recipes of those processed foods that you're eating or the fast food meals that you're eating. So simply cooking puts you in charge of all the ingredients. You know exactly what you're working with. You know exactly what you're eating. And it also gives you a sense of connection with your food because you're the one preparing it. You're the one making it, cooking it. So not only do you get to prepare, you get to achieve that satisfaction from eating it. Do you need to cook every single meal that you eat? No, I don't. I don't think you should cook everything, but you should cook as much as you can. You should cook more times than you don't cook, more times than you go out. This will 100% help you eat healthier because most of the time when you eat out at restaurants or fast food, they're putting things into the food and cooking it in ways that is not necessarily healthy for you or for your goals. So healthy tip number 9, you want to practice mindful eating. So in order to receive full nourishment from our meals, we need to be present so that we can receive all of the pleasure and the nourishment that our meal has to offer. So that means things like tasting your food, noticing the textures of your food, noticing the smells that are being put off. If you eat in a hurry or on the go, or even while watching TV, you simply are just not aware of what you're eating. You will feel unsatisfied because your brain hasn't registered that you ate, it's going to still feel hungry because you haven't put in the time to make it, to nourish that mindful eating, to taste the food as you're cooking it. Just notice the textures and smelling the smells of it. So just try to choose one meal a day and eat it with full attention. Pay attention to what's going into the meal, what preparation's going into the meal, and all like the little things. That way you will enjoy the meal even more because you know that you prepared it, you put in the time and effort, you decided what ingredients you were going to put in it, you cut those ingredients up, and then you actually put in the time to make it a meal. You can enjoy the meal, the flavors, the textures, the smells, and you'll connect with your body. I know it's kind of weird to say, but it does. You never really think of nutrition that way, but you're making a connection with your body. This also helps with that, like I mentioned earlier, that relationship with food. And last but not least, number 10, make it easy, fun, and don't get crazy with it. The reason we want to eat better is so that we can feel better. If the journey of healthy eating feels hard, if it feels complicated, if it's overwhelming, you're not going to be able to stick to it. You're not going to be satisfied from it. Don't underestimate the power of such small changes, of those small little baby steps you're taking to improve your meal's quality of nutrients over time. So make those small changes. Don't try to do anything drastic. Just do one thing at a time, and as you can get used to sticking to that one thing, add something else in. For example, one change I would make is focus on your water intake. Start increasing the amount of water that you drink throughout the day. It's going to help with you being full. It's also going to help with hydrating your body. Water is very, very important. Another thing, commit to doing a few exercises a week. 3 to 4 exercises a week, that's plenty. Also, start cooking your own meals. Sit down, eat at least one meal a day with full awareness of what you're eating and why you're eating it and what went into that meal. So those are just a few little tips about nutrition that I help you kind of get started and get you on the right track for all your nutrition goals. There's a lot more that goes in nutrition than what we talked about today. This is kind of just the basics that's going to get you going, kind of get you on the right mindset, give you a few tips to get you eating right, more healthy. There's plenty of other ways that you can eat healthy, not just the ways I talked about today. There's plenty of other strategies and tips that you can do as well. We just want to give you a base overview of what you need to start doing and start incorporating into your daily routine, into your meals. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Those are just a few of my little nutrition tips that I like to incorporate in my own routine that's helped me over time stay more consistent with my goals. Yes, I do splurge often. I do like to eat sweets, but no, I don't let it dictate my whole mood, my whole day, my whole thought, my whole mindset on nutrition. I know that if I stay consistent with my meals, then over time I will be more healthy and achieve whatever my fitness goals are. If you got something out of the episode today, if you enjoyed it, if you took some value from it, if you learned something, let me know. Screenshot the episode, post it on your story, let your friends know, let your mom know. I would really appreciate it. Also, whatever platform you listen to your podcast on, please leave me a review. I would really appreciate it. It would mean a lot to me. I want to spread my word as much as possible and get it out there to somebody that may take something from any of my episodes, may be able to learn something, and especially I want them to get started on their fitness journey. I want them to begin. That's all I want you to do is at least get started. That's all you need. You cannot be great if you don't start. You have to start to be great. So start your fitness journey today. It will not let you down, I promise. Fitness has changed my life in multiple ways, and honestly, I don't know what my life would look like if I did not enjoy fitness the way that I do today. It probably takes up a little bit more time than I like to admit, but that's me and that's what I like to do. I enjoy it, and that's my hobby. So that's why I like to get on here and talk to you each and every day. With that being said, I hope you all have a blessed day. Hope it's the best day of your entire life. Come back soon again. I'm dropping a new episode every Monday. So y'all stay tuned. Peace, love, protein. We out.